Okay, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, Ghana's Youth Voices for the SDGs 2026. My name is Wisdom Ingino and I'll be your host. I am the founder and the president of the Wise Touch, which is a registered youth-led social enterprise in Ghana. And we are made up of youth professionals from different professional backgrounds, and we are we are not up to a year. But then, as part of our key program areas, we are championing the achievement of the SDG goals in the world. And our key initiatives are into four key program areas. So we have the environmental sustainability and climate action. We have social protection and inclusion. Then we have education and child development and livelihoods. Fourth one is livelihood and economic empowerment. So this webinar that we are doing, we started last month, which is in we've divided into three categories. So the first one is the global one that we had. We had it last month, which we had the youth representing from all the six continents, and we had the African one also having youth capturing all the five major regions of the Africa, meaning North Africa, East Africa, West Africa, Central Africa, and Southern Africa. And today is for Ghana, which we are coming to look at a topic which some say that this is going to be a debate or something like that, but then we are here to see how the ball is going to roll. So today we are looking at the topic which SDGs have the potential which SDGs, has the potential to fast track Ghana's development. That's what we are coming to look at. And before we start, I would like to take over a few stuff that when this delivery is being recorded, we are going to record it and share it afterwards. And also, I will be very happy to, acknowledge the presence of our speakers. So I have Dr. Vanessa Boma Kukwe, who is a medical doctor joining us from the UK. And we have my friend, I have Maxwell Dansobwache, known as Financial Max. He is a chartered accountant and economist, senior audit consultant at KPMG Ghana. And I have Joyce Atta, who is the founder and CEO of Araba Foundation International. She is a girls' education and rural inclusive advocate, New York Times featured. She is also the African Youth Forum International representative to the United Nations, New York. And I also have Joyce Owusu-Abefi Esquire, who is also a board member of the White Touch, and during our processes of registration, getting our license from the NPO, she assisted us in getting the license to operate. Thank you very much, Sister Joyce. And we have Afane Osu Ajiman, who is chartered accountant, and also he is a lead policy analyst at Eco Africa Network. I also have Justina Ijakwa, who is a mental health nurse, and she is also a board member of the Wise Touch. And I also have Dr. Kwesi Elaj, who is a pharmacist. I have Georgina Jebi, who is also a lawyer, joining us. Joining us from the UK. I have Santi Gideon Edison, who is also an economics teacher. And he is also a member of the Wise Touch board. I have Prince Ban, who is a marine engineer at Stemaport. I have Marcus Kwabena Champon Boafo. He is also a board member of the Wise Touch, who also assisted us in registering our organization. Thank you very much, bro. And I also have Derry Aisha too. She's also a nurse joining us from the UK. I have Bruce Togbevi, who is also a medical laboratory scientist. Thank you, bro, for joining us. So and I have Maxwell Abuaje. He's also the vice president of the Wise Touch. He's the tech lead. So thank you very much, guys, for having you. And without much ado, I will be very happy to start with Marcus Kwabena Echampon Boafo. Hello, bro. Please, can we have you?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
I'm disappointed I started with. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Am I clear enough?
Sure, you are clear. We can hear you.
Thank you. So, thanks for having me. I mean, it's also that I call you. We call you your sources. We know where it's coming from. So, also, thanks for having me. So, let's go straight. SDG 60, I believe that's my assignment. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. Why this SDG has the greatest potential to fast track Ghana's development. So that's what I'm touching on. I'll try to make it as simplistic, brief, and practical. So not to, confuse anyone. You see, like for the sometimes they go for Casablanca, you remember. So yeah. With this, as I was reflecting on it, it just came to me. Big social studies, if everyone, has taken our social studies, social remember to below arms of governments. And here we have the legislature, judiciary, and the executive. And we know these arms of governments, we have separation of powers to as principle in law, in which you say these arms work independently, but yet not in isolation of each other. So I was just, reflecting it on those three lines and this, country in general. So peace, justice, and strong institutions. Let me start. I believe the strong institutions is the foundation and key to everything because the justice falls under the judiciary. Peace will fall under all the arms of government because we have to ensure peace, security in the nation. And all these institutions, that are the arms of government, must be strong. I believe with that, everything will take place. It's like a domino effect. If the center is good, everything will fall in place. If the center is bad, everything does not fall in place. And the reality on the ground is that one may argue, do we have strong institutions? Do we not have strong institutions? Why am I saying so? Here's the case that as a lawyer, I belong to the judicial government. The citizens do not even believe in the strength of the judiciary like that. The Supreme Court to make a decision, we say, oh, it's politically motivated. Judge Nakojiska, Judge the NDC. Even if you have a matter, as a lawyer, you hear someone's matter, they think, oh, on they say common sense. You don't see the need for a lawyer. When they go and mess up, they come back to you. And all those are that things. So you realize that there's no confidence in the arms of government or the institutions that we have in place because we don't think it's effective. In that case, whatever comes from it will not be well received. Why am I saying so? We believe everything is political. And yes, rightfully so, some of us have made it more political in the sense that we don't speak the truth. If something is going well, it's them. If something is not going well, there's excuses. COVID, world market prices, etc., 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 etc. Everything comes on there. We have the public court, Twitter, and things. So personally, for me, I don't have a Twitter account. I've tried not to be on that platform, even though it's good for because I think everyone has an opinion there. You go and you see everyone can just say what they have to say without even understanding it. And once you are polluted on online, you are polluted for life. Here we have a lot of things going on. That remember case, a decision will come. We say, oh, the judge has put this one. Not even understanding it. A Supreme Court decision will come. We say, oh, the judge can't put this one. Not understanding it. But I believe these things are the key. Because if they are functioning and everything is proper, they will be well received. But the humans also have peace. I think Ghana is overall peaceful. So we don't have some problems with that. But my basis is the strong institutions because I believe that with strong institutions, all those things will fall in place. So let's start. Parliament. We elect people there to go and represent the will of the people, to go and represent what your constitution, what the people want. So we believe that with that democratic, there's representation. Everyone has to say through their MPs. However, are they really doing their job? You go to parliamentary sittings and the place is empty. So and that's where most of the policies and the development will come from. The place is empty. So your MP might not even go there to debate and make a say or even get your opinions contributed. They are even absent. With the state workouts every time. The truth of the matter is, once there's a quorum, even in meetings, your workouts or staff would not spoil much or would not change anything. Why are we doing all these things? What are the checks in place? And now to the people to ask ourselves, do we vote for policies or we just vote on slogans and things? And like elections in Ghana, I can bet you nobody has read the manifesto of a political party to the fullest. That's why they use slogans. One dam, one this thing, one goat, one this thing, one village, one this thing. Mama here. Resetting Ghana agenda, big push, etc., etc., etc. Not like, hey. Have we scrutinized it? Have we really scrutinized it? How is the implementation? How is the practicality? But yes, first of all, with the legislative arm that makes the laws and makes everything, we have, excuse my language if I'm not right now, we have questionable characters that end up there as MPs who are just not doing what the people must do. Then we have the judiciary. Yes, I would probably be a bit biased because that's where I find myself in. But sometimes you look at the decisions that happen and you wonder, did this judge even go to law school? However, how did the judge even get there in the first place? Is it political affiliation? Does the person qualify? What are the checks and balances? If a judge makes a mistake, if a judge is the process dependable enough? On average, we spend a lot of time with courts, 2 years on every case. So something that you want justice, you are taking 5 years, 20 years, you will die and your descendants will inherit your case and this. Is that really going to serve it? And the executive too. Is a majority or winner carry so once a people wins, your foot soldier or someone who was shouting the most might get a political appointment. I agree. If you want it, you can have your people. I don't think nepotism is even something that is an issue because to be honest, once you are qualified, it can be your brother. Let your brother be in position because everyone wants to work with who they are comfortable with. I don't subscribe to the fact that my brother is qualified, but because they will complain, I should go and put someone else there. However, there should be all these checks and balances to make sure that the system is working. The system is not working. And with that, it is linked. Governance is at the fore. Even if it's a dictatorship, there's still governance. There should be a fluid system. That's why we say really the arms of government will work independently, but not in isolation, because there's always a linkage. That's why when judges are nominated, some will go through the vetting. The president now who nominates the judges, nominates these things. Parliament would make the laws, the judiciary will interpret the law. So you realize that the system, they are all intertwined. So if it's working, everything that we set our eyes on for development will really come. And also it's up to the people in terms of peace. We have to have what? A mindset to accept, a mindset to be able to be analytical, mindset to be critical. It's sometimes, not a difficult that we accept everything, almost everything. Once someone can count themselves as an icon, they accept everything. It's like religion. People are angry about this Agriada case and stuff. That a sentence has been. So I told myself that personally, I said, oh, Mama Pat is coming back for us to have some videos to laugh. But in actual terms, we want to punish her for the silliness of some of us. Because someone will come and tell you that bring 50 cities and let me give you 2,000 cities. We've had a lot of schemes and Ponzi schemes that have come across this country. Men's gold, all these things, pyramid schemes and stuff. Someone who was a fetish priestess who was doing Sikagari, bring 50, I'll bring you 3,000. Now she went to become a pastor, bring Yeshugari, and you still take your money. No one has forced, no one has put a gun on you. At least you're able to work hard and make 56. Why don't you work hard and double it or multiply it? But you want the easy way out. So you're going to give it to someone, and when the person comes, you are angry. No one put a gun on you. You say defrauding by false pretense amongst other things. You realize that it cuts across. That's why this one was very critical. When Osho gave it to me to speak, I was like, wow, really? Because I believe this cuts across. But let's start with the arm of government. Once we're able to bring accountability, put everything in check, a lot of things are allowed to go. And it's Ghana. After 2 days, we are focusing on the next step. Even this Russian guy thing that we are making it a big deal and stuff. I ask myself, what have the ladies really done? They say they are disgraceful, etc., for money. And we all like money here. That's why we go up and down. And your own might be different. Someone will go and sleep with someone for money. We will go and steal for money. We will go and do fraud for money. What makes you better? And it's the same thing. We shame ourselves because we sort of demean ourselves in our position. The same way these ladies are intrigued by a white guy. You may go outside to and you see that the white ladies are very intrigued by black guys. So what this white guy is doing is normal there. If you have black guys who go out to this country, like you say, oh, it's easy to get white ladies. They are also over us. I don't want to use some terms because of the sensitivity and the sanitization of this program. But all these things is not a big deal there, but it becomes a big deal here. Mindsets. But with the strong institutions, everything will work because it starts from up and it filters down. That's why we have representation. So once we can ensure the accountability, a lot of things go. We use a lot of things for politics. That I'm saying, when someone is in a position, they're able to do all this. They have all the solutions to become to power. Then now changes. I will reset. Nobody under my government. I put my government on the line, etc., 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 etc. Then the own appointed DC is going to be involved in Galamsey, and they are silent on it. I don't know if you put from National Minister now turning to a lawyer. If you've been accused and there's evidence, etc., etc., we have to now go through it. Now they believe in the same process in which when they were opposition, they were like, it's not right. The recent Martin Lindam case where the Supreme Court restored the Lindam MP, if I get you on that side. Now we have some key figures of government and lawyers saying that it's not over. We go for review. It was a 4-1 decision. In law, we know that if you go for review at the Supreme Court, there are 2 judges. So as anyone change, as if we even give those 2 judges to the dissenting opinion that would for it, that's 4-3. The matter is dead. Why don't you try and appreciate certain things? Then we'll go and use politics that the Supreme Court has gone to take money, has gone to do this, has gone to do that, without reading the judgments. So let's promote the fact that we need strong institutions, we need accountability. The accountability is loose. A lot of things in Ghana is more theoretical when it comes to practice. And I always laugh. MPs are seen to be doing work. We see majority, minority also on the side. But behind the scenes, they are all brothers and sisters. They are all homeboys from the past. Also, as my friend, if also is now in MPP, we will be on the floor and act. We'll be shouting at ourselves and we still come and laugh about it. Parliament, the debate, but once it's place of their benefit, they are all unanimous. You never see them walk out when it's time for them to talk about loans for MP cars. You never see them debating or being in disagreement when it's time for them to determine their salaries and their allowances and this. But when it comes to the real issues, that is when the politics and things can be said, unnecessary workouts and stuff. So the strong institutions will fast track that development because without that, nothing. There may be policy, there may be nice ideas, but the implementation and practicality would never be successful. That's the strong institutions. Because come as it may, it starts with them, it ends with them. But because we are too political, we have political so after it. There's always same mode. In 2016, the devil in Mahama is now the angel and the savior. Because now we're like, 2016, it takes 50 years for anything to come. 2024, that same person is now the angel. And the angel in 2016 to save Ghana is now the team on excuse my language. And that is why I'll be chastised now, but probably 20 years from now, is the angel to save Ghana. So it's the same with that cycle. So personally, I always tell people, don't insult someone who's still to the MPP after this current time and say that you are wicked, you are self, you know how, etc., etc. I will always joke like it's the whole point is one will kill you instantly, one will kill you slowly. In the end, you will die. So choose how you want to die. So if someone still sticks with the MPP, I'll make sure better because another time we change and we think that we have been expelled, but they do the same with this. Now, cocoa price, I was just watching last year. We're speaking, we can take the price to 7,000 and stuff. Now, it's market prices and what that's affected. Yet, if everybody came to say it's COVID that affected the economy, we are not happy with it. So, they filter the same thing for us. Yes, accountability. Go to the other countries, accountability, that even something that's trivial. I remember one, I think a former UK Labour minister resigned because he had help. Who was an illegal immigrant and he didn't know. So just on that basis, he resigned. And that is what, but he thought that he has what responsible for his household, his employees, and do all these checks and things. In Ghana, people will be glaring things and you will still see them in power, enjoying and all these things. So I was working plenty. I was trying to give you a bit more insight for you to reflect on it yourself, not trying to guide you like, hey, do this to work. You should do this. I just gave you the problems that we have here and the practicality of it and why it's not being fast tracked because these are real life practical examples that are happening. If these things are in check, and let's be realistic, some of these things are not done in a day, but you have to commit with it, bit by bit by bit. Even the Sdg'S, when it was formed, you will give a certain time for it to try and see how would it meet, even if the time meets. Realistically, not all would have been satisfied, but at least how close you are to the targets. That's how to start dealing with these things. But unfortunately for us, in this part of the world, we don't even start in the first place. But once we are committed and it's consistent, I believe that if we don't get 10 out of 10 and we get 7 out of 10, it's good. So yes, for me, it starts from the top and the institution. So once there's sanitization, there's structure, everything else will fall in place. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lawyer Marcus, for that insightful presentation. From your delivery, I we all can attest to the fact that Ghana, we have a long way to go. Looking at, this is not all the issues that you've touched on, just few of it that you just touched on. I just don't know. But then, just as you said, we need strong institutions and a renewal of mindset to develop as a nation. And surely, we the youth have we have a major role to play in this, because we are an agent of change in every community, everywhere that we find ourselves. So I think this kind of webinars will actually help us all to have change our communities, and all about people having a good mindset towards things that we are doing, to have the free will for everyone to feel free without being looked down upon, looking at what's happening in Ghana. So thank you very much, bro. I can see that you have a lot to share, but then looking at time, you cannot share all, but hopefully I know together we'll help make Ghana a developed nation. Thank you very much, Lawyer Marcus. I really appreciate your time. So without much ado, I would like to welcome Dr. Vanessa Quinn. She is joining us from the UK. Hello, Doc.
Hello, Wisdom. Good afternoon. I think it's afternoon, yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And thank you to the great things you and your team are doing. I'm excited to be here to talk about SDGs. A big thank you to Lawyer Marcus for that cogent point on why climate and our judicial system is important for SDG. So I'll be sharing my slides, if that's fine. Wisdom, okay.
Sure.
All right. Please, can you see my slides?
Sure, we can see it.
Beautiful. Awesome. So today I'll be talking about which SDG can fast track Ghana's development and why. And I want to ground a story in a story that I heard, but it's very personal to me. Just picture this. It's a little to midnight, and Amina is in her bed with her husband, pregnant, close to her term. And she's clutching her tummy and going, "Oh my God, I'm in pain." She shouts for help. Someone should come. And her husband is just by her. He wakes up and he realizes that she's just about to go into labor. But the distance to the hospital is so far, they don't have a means of going. They have to get his motorbike. And there's no one around them because there's no light for them to get there. And just as the husband is able to get her to the door, she starts to bleed. And all hell breaks loose because her husband cannot find just the money that they need to get her to the hospital that they need to be. And all that she can see is her 7-year-old son, who missed school because he had a car accident and is not able to walk. And she thinks back to her husband, who was not able to join the planting season for rice just because he was very down with hypertension. The question is, who failed her? Was it her fault? Was it her husband for not having enough money to get her to the hospital? Or was it Ghana? Because there's not much in there to cater for her health care, that of hers and her baby. And with that, I want to talk about an important SDG. An SDG that goes beyond what it means to develop, which a lot of people think as GDP, economics, infrastructure, which is all good. But an SDG that looks at lives. Lives are the core of everything that we do. because a healthy life will promote a healthy livelihood. We want to give opportunity for the Aminas in the world, her sons who are not able to go to school because they are sick, and her husbands who are not able to start their livelihood because they are sick, to have a future at life. And that would lead me to talk about the SDG 3, which is ensuring good health and promoting well-being. What is good health? People ask. Good health is what the WHO usually tells us. It's a state where we have a complete physical state, where there's no disease, absolutely. Our mental state is also fine, and even our social state is also having a good interaction. But what does all this mean for us as youth? What does it mean for people who live in Ghana, who are still looking for the next big thing to become the people that they really want to achieve the success that they want? And this is the world that SDG 3 wants to have for us. A world where by 2030, we will reduce maternal mortality. A world where children who are able to make their 5th birthdays are happy because they don't have to worry about illness. A world where AIDS, malaria, and other non-communicable diseases or communicable diseases do not snatch the lives of potential doctors and potential presidents in the world. A world where hypertension is under control, a world where substance abuse are treated and prevented, a world where road accidents are halved because we have the infrastructure to build on, a world where women have choices to make their sexual reproductive health, and a world above all, which I really do like, where people at all ages from all walks of life can access health, quality health, when they need, where they need, without having to face catastrophic spending. What is catastrophic spending? It is spending such that you would have to sell everything that you have just to stay alive. Spending such that you would even fall into poverty just to stay alive. And that is why the universal health coverage is important. And SDG 3 wants to see a world where every country can achieve this universal health coverage. I'm not here to start blaming Ghana for what they have done or have not done. I do see what the progress of Ghana has been over the years. I remember back in 2000, I could hear stories of mothers that were dying, piling up, of doctors and healthcare professionals that were not able to give the help that they needed. I sat in the consulting rooms and saw people literally weep, crying that, "Save my child." But I've seen the progress that Ghana has made. We used to have like maternal mortality rates of just 900 per 100,000 live births. We used to have children dying just because they didn't have incubators. But we've moved from a place of 900 to a place of 234. We've moved from a place where under 5 mortality is now 37. We've moved from a place of where our universal health coverage was just about 10% to now a 48%. But is that where we want to be? Is that the kind of development our country seeks to have? Absolutely not. And that's why I want to make a case. A case that indeed we've started a business in the place of health, but a case that we still have unfinished business to do. Unfinished business that not only saves people's livelihoods and people's finances, but people's lives are still kept in place. And so instead of plateauing down, especially after COVID, we want to ensure that Ghana still thinks about SDG 3 in investing in their future development. I was reading through the topic and reflecting like Marcus and wondering, in fact, what really does fast track mean? What does greatest potential mean? What does Ghana's development mean to make a case for SDG 3? And for me personally, I feel that fast track meant that we are able to produce a change that is within a period of time and still has gains that are staying all around. And that meant that if we are trying to make a case for SDG 3, it should fit a certain criteria. It should have a speed for the impacts that it's going to have. It should have an impact that is not just tailored and set only for health. It should have spillover effect if it is indeed a good case to make for an SDG. And above all, because we don't have money in our country, it should be cost effective. And I thought through health and wondered, has health really met these criteria for fast development? Has it met these criteria for a potential to be something that Ghana can invest in to see future benefits? Absolutely. I see the speed of impact and I see the vaccination campaigns that go on for children. I see the tailored maternal health services and antenatal cares that they have for women in various districts. I see the magnitude of their work and see those spillovers that I'll be talking about soon, that healthy people are able to go to work, they're able to make income, healthy children are able to go to school and have the education that they need. I see that people are no longer breaking their backs just to get health and are still not below that financial grade that they do want. And I still see that we are still able to make the little impact that we have with just the right amount of budgets that we need. And so health is indeed cost effective because it leads to gains just beyond health alone. We see health affecting our productivity, which is very important for economics. Healthy workers are able to still go to work. They don't take work leaves from work. They're able to ensure that they're having good output. So the lawyer is able to go defend in the court. The trader is able to go to Makola and make herself enough income to support her family. We see people who are working in the engineering firm, in the labs, still able to put in good work to earn the money that they want to sustain their families. And the labor supply at every point in time is not limited because we have people that are strong enough and solid enough to do the work that we need. I have a friend who wanted to work in the mining industry, but he got so down with bad health that he didn't qualify. And it's interesting that just even before you get a job, you are asked to get a medical report. And sometimes I write my medical reports and I see that these people are not healthy enough. And of course, I cannot lie, but I know that their means of livelihood would not be achieved because of one health condition or the other. But if we are able to invest in health, not just our human capital, but our development capital of the nation for future posterity is indeed going to increase. Why? Because a lot more of them are going to have the energy, have the health to be able to stay healthy and go to school. And they can propel and move their generation to the next step for our country. But above all, one reason why I do like health as pivotal in our growth for development for Ghana is the spillover effects that it has. There's health in SDG 1, where if you are healthy, you are able to make a livelihood so that you are not poor. If you are healthy, you can find some food to eat. If you're healthy, you can go to school. If you're healthy and you have the right knowledge for reproductive services, you can be able to safeguard your place as a woman in the world. If you're healthy without diarrheal diseases, you'd ensure that wash services and clean sanitation are upheld. If you're healthy, you're able to contribute to sustainable development health. If you're healthy, every single one of these SDGs are going to be well worth achieved. And that's why I'm cognizant of all the things that we have to think of. I didn't just think about what makes Ghana pivotal in taking about SDG, but I still thought about all the things we have to deal with if indeed we have to have SDG 3 at the center of our growth. And that is the money, the physical constraints. I know the Ghana government may not have all the resources that they need, but it's true. What can help? We can do it more targetedly. We can think about maybe women. We can think about mothers and have targeted services for them. Sometimes these health activities can become politicized, and it's important that every government that comes into power thinks cautiously of what they can do to improve health and not just make empty promises like Marcus was saying, just saying that, okay, I want to give one district just one factory, I want to build so many hospitals, but how well are you going to build those hospitals to achieve the aim of healthy lives for its citizens? Yes, I do love the NHIS. The NHIS is doing tremendously in ensuring that people don't have very breaking back activities just to receive health. But I do agree that it has a lot of inefficiencies. People who are only in the formal sectors have the access to this NHIS. And what about the woman who is trading in the marketplace? The man who is an electrical fitter? The man that is working as a carpentry shopper? How is he going to ensure that he's also healthy? We need reforms. We need change in the structures to allow the average Ghanaian have access to health. And above all, not to just think about health in isolation, but make policies for all the other aspects of good development, such as education, such as infrastructure, and above all, job creation, so that health is able to have that multidisciplinary connection to stand tall. I make a case because I've seen this happen. It's happening in Southeast Asia, in Thailand. It's even happened in our own backyard here in Africa, in Rwanda. And if these countries have been able to make health work for them with their reforms in their countries, I believe that Ghana can do it. I believe that Ghana is able to ensure that health does not just go beyond our democracy, but is at the doorsteps of every Ghanaian. I want to make my case by saying that if we don't make health a priority, if we don't invest in health to fast-track Ghana's development, we run a risk of rising non-communicable diseases like hypertension. We run a risk of making the rich richer and the poor poorer. We run a risk of not being able to stand the shocks of epidemics like coronavirus, like influenzas, and others that may come. And above all, we run a risk of plunging people into poverty because medical expenses are so much. When we think about development, when we think about Ghana, let's think about health. Because if we are able to make health a priority and invest in it, Amina would have to travel less distance to reach care. Her family would not have to weigh treatment against the food that they will eat. She wouldn't have to worry about her complications being managed. And above all, no matter her geography in any of the regions in Ghana, systems will be accountable to ensure that she has the right care. And with that, I want to end by making my case for SDG 3 as a good source and relevant pivot for investment in Ghana's development. Thank you.
Well done, Dr. Vanessa. I mean, this is more than a lecture. You know, I didn't even know what to write. I've written a lot and did not even know which one to share. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you for giving us that. You know, it was a fascinating discussion. You've actually brought on board, and I think together it will get to our leaders, and hopefully we also are future leaders. And as we all know that the future is now, and together, I believe that we will all help together to develop our country, Ghana, at large. Thank you very much for that fascinating discussion. Really appreciate your time and everything. So, that might I do. I would like to invite Joyce after joining us from the US. Hello, Joyce. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much to Vanessa and to, I think, Marcus. I joined late, so I couldn't get his full presentation. But I think what I came to meet were very much educative and very important issues that he raised. And thank you so much, Vanessa, for a very good presentation, making us understand the importance of health and how it's pivotal in achieving all the other SDGs. So for me, I am honored to talk about SDG 4, and I would start by sharing my screen. All right, so I believe all of us here on this call can attest to the importance of education. Maybe we would probably might not even be here today talking about all the issues that we are talking about right now if we were not exposed to information, if we were not exposed to a more better world that we feel we can all fight towards achieving. So I'll be talking more on the SDG 4, which is the ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. So I would want to start by laying the foundation on why education is very important. Education is a fundamental human right. It's been even declared in the UN Charter, which we'll talk about. Education is a fundamental human right. And if something is a right, it means that everyone must have access to it. And if it's a right, then it means it is important, because if it is not important, then it wouldn't be made a right. Education is a public good. When we say something is a public good, it means that the interest does not accrue to the individual alone, right? It has a ripple effect on the public, right? So if I am educated, I do not only benefit by, let's say, working and making good money. I pay taxes. I am able to take care of my children, I become a very good citizen, and all that. So that makes education a public good. And if something is a public good, then that should tell us how important it is. And education drives social, economic, and then democratic, let me close this, development. So when we look at all the countries that have developed, the developing countries, and then all that, when they started the Industrial Revolution, and then all of that, education has been the center. When we look at even the Middle East that has developed over time, we can see education played a major role in it. An example is China, right? So China is China today because they were very intentional about educating their people and giving them the right education that would ensure would develop the country that they envision. So that tell us how also why education is very important. I think I might have lost my slide. Okay. And another thing that I would also want to lay is that no nation develops sustainably without investing in education. We want a sustainable country, a country that is free from climate change, with very good health, a country that, you know, the people are having good standard of living, and all of these things. We cannot do it without giving the people education. And education also engine, or it drives the achievement of all the other SDGs. So I would want to take us back to the history of education. Some of us may already know about this, but I would want us to take us back to where it all began from and how important this particular field is. So education originated, first of all, it was an idea of transmitting culture and tradition from one generation to the other, right? And then it was also meant to train leaders and then religious authorities. Education was previously limited to elite. So if you do not come from an elite family, or you do not come from a very well-to-do family, you do not get access to education, because education was meant for people who are supposed to be groomed to leaders, right? And at that time, it was only elite who are seen as people who have the capacity to be leaders. Therefore, they are the ones who got education. Now, in 1948, that was when there was a shift in education. The United Nations, in the UN Charter, there was a Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And in Article 26, it made education a human right, right? So once it is a right, then it is no longer limited to the elite, but rather it is supposed to be made available to everybody. So when it was made a right, then it compelled all the member states to make sure that they are developing policies and programs to educate its citizens. So that was when we saw a lot of now countries taking education very serious, establishing schools here and there. It was during that time that we saw Nkrumah especially do a lot of, establish all those amazing schools there. The Ghana National College and all those amazing things that we know Nkrumah did. And then from there, we had the Education for All movement. Now, the Education for All movement was a global commitment to make sure there is a universal access to primary education, right? So the Education for All movement makes sure everybody had access to primary education. So during that time, we had a lot of money pushed into education, like education became the order of the day. Even most of the other SDGs were not really paid attention to, because everybody saw the importance of educating the people. From there, we moved to the MDGs, which is the Millennium Development Goals between 2000 and then 2025. And then in the MDG 2, they still stated universal primary education. So the target was to ensure that all boys and girls complete a full course of primary schooling, right? That everybody is being enrolled to school and all that. However, there was a weakness with the MDGs, which was that it focused only on primary education, or it only focused on enrolling children in school without emphasizing quality and learning outcomes, right? So at the end of the day, they were just counting the number of children who are being pushed into the classroom without considering quality. So it was all these the shortfalls and the lessons that they've learned over time that engineered the SDGs, right? So from the 2025 to 2030, that's where we had the SDGs. And still the SDG had education in it. Now, let us take note that so much goes behind the scene for every SDG that you find in the SDGs that we have right now to be included, because there are a lot of global issues, right? So before an SDG will be included, then it means that it is very, very important. It is super, super important. So SDG 4 was still included. Education was still included in SDG 4. And this time around, it went beyond just universal primary education and just enrolling children in school to now focus more on quality education, on learning outcome, on tertiary education, secondary education, TVET, and then all that. And during all those in the past, I think education was more focused. And even most of us, when you talk about education, we only look at the formal aspect of it, like going to the classroom and all that, but there is more to education than that. We have informal education, semi-formal education, and all that. So SDG 4 include all of these things, and therefore that makes it very, very important for us. Now, I would move on to talk about what Ghana has been able to do towards achieving the SDG 4. So over the years, we have seen a lot of programs, right? From the free, I think now every basic school in Ghana, if it's a public school, is free, unless you want to go to a private school. But every public primary school in Ghana is free. And now they've made free senior high school as well, which is a very good move. And in as much as we have seen a lot of enrollment with a free senior high school, we also see that there is still issue with quality. There is still issue with teacher shortages. There is still issue with the infrastructure gap, where those in the rural communities are still lacking very good school. They are still lacking the resources to ensure they are getting the quality education. And even those in the urban areas, we still see overcrowded classrooms. So it's more or less like we are just focusing on pushing the children to school without making sure there is a correspondent quality in what they are learning in the classroom. So that's why we see a lot of policies out there, but we don't see much policy in terms of building infrastructures. We don't see much policies in terms of making sure we are employing more teachers, in terms of ensuring that we are reducing the ratio of teacher to student, and a lot of these things. We see a little being done in this area. And I know that one of the main reason that is financial. We are, as Africa, we lack the resources to make sure we are doing all these things. But that also brings me back to what Vanessa was saying, that instead of just throwing all these policies around, what if we just focus on one thing at a time? I recently heard, I think I heard it during this campaign, our current government wanting to introduce free admission fee for all first-year university students, right? And then I was like, okay, this is a very good initiative. But what if this money is being invested in some of the things that we are already doing that are not really working well, that are not really like delivering the result that we want? Because it so baffles me that as it stands now, we still have schools in rural communities that are in a very deprived condition. I run an NGO called the Araba Foundation International, and what we do is that every year we adopt certain rural communities in Ghana, and then we just try to improve education in these communities. And then I was like, well, I came to meet these places being poor. Why is it that as at now, these places are still poor? So are we ever going to have a time where we don't have rural communities anymore? Every place is, well developed and all that. Yeah, and that is because we are not really being intentional and making sure that we are taking, we are addressing the issue accordingly. We just put everything together because of politics and all that. We want everyone to see that we are doing so well. So the free SHS is very good, but it's still could be improved. Because I believe that if we focus on the quality, like the way we are focusing on just enrolling these children in school, we'll see the massive change, or we'll see how this particular policy will transform Ghana's education system. Another progress that I have also seen is the TVET reform and then the Commission for Technical and Vocational Education and Training. I've seen a lot of investment in TVET, in vocational training, and in all of that. And I think that is also a very good work over there. Because I remember that even though I'm still young, but when I was a child, right, when someone says they are going to a vocational school, it is deemed as the person is not smart, right? That is why the person is going to a vocational school. But now with this particular policy, I have seen that they are changing the narrative around that. They are making people understand that you can go to a vocational school if you want to build your skills, if that is what you want to do. And it should not necessarily be because you are not good. And I've also seen, especially with our current free senior high school, the school placement and all that, they are intentionally putting students there, encouraging these young ones to go into this field. So that is also a very good thing for us as a country. I can also talk about the school feeding program. I know it is not really the best, but at least a child who may not go to school because of food, right? I think that is not something that we can boast of as a country. So having such a program where children can at least have 1 square meal a day can encourage them to go to school. Because I have seen a lot of improvement in children attendance, especially those in the rural communities, who they know that at least, if not anything, let me go to school and eat. So if this policy could encourage them to go to school, to stay in school, learn and achieve their goals, then it is something that we need to applaud the country for. However, when we look at the per capita, like how much is given to every child to be fed. The last time that I've forgotten the exact amount, but it was even less than $2, right? It was less than $2, sort of. So which means it is not enough. So the food that they are even getting is not of quality, nutritious, healthy. It could affect their health and all that, just like Vanessa said. So it's a very good program, but more could be done to make sure that we make it better. Another thing that I've also seen is the inclusive education policy, which is the free tuition for tertiary, like as I mentioned, for persons with disability who are going to the tertiary. I think it is something that is yet to be rolled. The last time I heard the current government speak, he said that they are still planning on rolling out this idea, right? And I'm hoping that they are able to do it. Because I know for our leaders, they are full of, politicians are full of promises. But I'm hoping that he sticks to what they've already said and they roll out this policy. I believe it will ensure we see a lot of persons with disability in school. Now, I know in Ghana, our education system is not really disability friendly. For KEPCOs, the first, I've visited 2 schools. For one is school for persons with deaf, and there is one school where they have made it general. They made it such that they are able to mainstream persons with disability. However, even the school that is specifically for persons of disability, like deaf and those, it's not even that friendly for them, right? And then not to even talk of the school that has been made mainstream for persons with disability. You see them there sitting in the classroom with everybody, and there are not enough qualified teachers to give them the training that they need. There are even the environment, they need to move around and all that. It is not friendly enough for them. So that is also one thing that we want to look at, because education, as we said, is a right. It's meant for everybody. So whether you are disabled, you are not disabled, you are rich or poor, you should get access to it. And another progress that I can also talk about is our National Education Strategic Plan, which is directly in alignment with the SDGs, right? So it is like a plan that we have as a country on how we want education to look like in 2030. And that plan is very ambitious. I know for Africa, when it comes to putting the idea down, we are very good at it. But one of our major issues has to do with implementing those ideas. So these are some of the progress that we've made. And as I said it earlier, we've seen all these amazing things, but the challenges still remain. There is still learning poverty. Recently, I had a young woman reach out to me on Facebook. This girl has completed JHS, right? But she cannot even construct simple sentences. And when I tried to even respond to some of the questions that she was asking, she was not able to read most of my responses, right? So at the end of the day, we say that this child has gone through the system, like has spent about 12 years or so in the classroom. And then at the end of the day, she cannot even construct simple sentences. Another challenge that still exists is the rural-urban disparities. I already mentioned it. We still have a lot of rural schools that are lacking qualified teachers, that are lacking good infrastructure, that are lacking all these things. And these children are not outcasts, right? Usually, I think we see rural issues as a logistical issue. When we say something is logistical issue, we are just saying, oh, it's remote. The people are not many, it's rural. That's why they are facing all these issues. But in reality, it is a policy choice. Because if as a country, we are being intentional to make sure that we are developing policies and programs that are to target rural education and make sure that we are transforming rural education, it's going to be possible if we are being intentional with our budget. Because you don't expect to give the same amount of money you will give to a rural community to an urban community. Rural communities need more because we need more money to make sure we are motivating teachers to accept posting in these schools. We need more money to make sure that we are giving them the good education that they deserve. So if we can also look at our education budgets, how we finance education, and make sure we are reallocating resources for rural communities, we are really going to see improvement in rural education. Now, I know in as much as education is a very important field, it is also one of the sectors that receive less budgeting, right? So even currently, Ghana has cut down its budget for education. So sometimes I wonder that a field that is so important like that is an equalizer. I mean, all of us talk about it, receives less budgeting. So that also shows the rate at which we value education in our country. I can also talk about teacher shortages. I know this issue goes beyond Ghana, in that in some years it was a condition in one of the IMF policies. You know, IMF, before they give you funding, they give you so much policies. And in one of their policies, Ghana was supposed to reduce government spending. And there was a cut in hiring teachers. So it wasn't, I mean, like their hands were tight on the number of teachers that they could employ. I've heard so many stories. They are saying they've removed those embargo, they've reversed it and all that. But I know that particular embargo is still what is influencing our employment of teachers in the education sector. Because you can ask yourself, right, that every year we are producing so many teachers. So why is it that as a country, we are not employing all these individuals, right? And we are not employing them because, like, what they are going through, sometimes it is beyond them. I have been in the development sector. I've had a chance to go to the United Nations, to the World Bank, and I know what goes on behind the scene. Like, sometimes I know it's not solely the fault of Africa, right? We have gotten ourselves entangled in so many things, and that is preventing our development. That is limiting us from doing so many things. And I am glad to see some African leaders coming up, like I think our president is doing well. I know Traore is also challenging some of these stereotypes and some of these narratives. And I believe that if we stay consistent, in due time, we'll be able to break free from most of these things that we have entangled ourselves in. So now let us look at how the SDG 4 accelerates the other SDGs. So I know if everybody is going to talk about the SDGs, we will all say this SDG is has a spillover effect. So that really shows how all these SDGs are interconnected. None of the SDGs is important than the other, but each of them helps in achieving or accelerating the other SDGs. So now let's look at education and poverty. I mean, education is the greatest equalizer. Education ensures social mobility, income, everything. For me, for instance, I grew up in poverty. I grew up in rural community. And I know if it's not education, I don't think I would even be sitting here in the United States. Now, through education, I've been able to eradicate poverty in my family. And I believe that most of us on this call probably may share similar story or have seen similar stories of how people's social mobility, income, standard of living have been improved dramatically due to education. Now, education and then SDG 5, which is gender equality. And this area is very, very important to me, right? I believe gender equality could be, we can achieve this through empowerment. And empowerment generally comes from education. I stated it earlier that usually when we look at education, our mind is more on the formal aspect, but there are so many types of education. So if we are educating our women, right, we are giving them the knowledge, we are giving them the ability to make their own money, we are equipping them with the skills to start their own businesses, we are equipping them with the knowledge to know when to work out of relationship and then still be whole, right? If we are teaching them all of these things with education, indirectly we are also helping achieve gender equality. Because for most of us out there, through education we are able to delay marriage, we are able to reduce teenage pregnancy, because through education we get exposed to how our bodies work. We know that if I start menstruating and I get involved in sex, I'm going to get pregnant. And that you only get to know this through education. I know that there are contraceptives out there that I can use to protect myself if I do not want to. I know that if I do not give consent to someone to have sex with me, I can report the person, right? All of these things comes with education. And it also increases women's political and economic participation. I think over the years, we have seen so many improvements in Ghana, in most of the and even in the world generally, women's participation in political spaces. And I would want to commend Ghana for the introduction of the Affirmative Action Bill, which is to ensure that for every seat in Parliament, we are reserving 40% of it for women. I know we are doing well in that field, and I know as a country we still have challenge when it comes to implementing some of these affirmatives and all that. And I believe that it is time that we pay particular attention to this affirmative action bill and make sure that we are putting in the resources and the work to ensure we are having a lot of women in these spaces. Now, someone may say that, do we just have to put women there because women need to be there? The thing is, right, when it comes to issues with women in leadership, there is already a history, there is already a stereotype, there is already societal expectation on who a woman is supposed to be. And the moment there is a history, there is a stereotype, it's very difficult to change people's perspective. So in as much as the woman might be qualified to be in those spaces, already society says, because of your gender, you are not supposed to be in these spaces. So sometimes we need these policies and these affirmation to make sure that we are still having them occupy these spaces, bring in their perspective, contribute to policies and all that. Because I believe that the one who has the experience is the best teacher. I am the only one who is able to tell you that, hey, this is what I think it needs to be done, right? As compared to having someone from the opposite sex do it, right? So when we are looking at gender equality too, I also want to debunk this idea. Sometimes we feel it is competition, that women want to compete with men. Or no, it is not like that. All that we are saying is we need to create a world, a society where my gender does not determine how far I can go in life. My gender does not determine whether I have a voice or not, but I need to be treated because I am a human and I have perspective to issues. Now let's look at education and also SDG 3, health and well-being. I know Vanessa spoke at length about this, and I wouldn't want to drag it too much. So education strengthens our health outcomes. It improves maternal health. She explained it beautifully. It increases child survival rate, the vaccination uptake and all that. Because if a woman is educated, if an individual is educated, not necessarily a woman, they are able to know the importance of going for vaccination, going for antenatal and all that. For me, when I was growing up in my village, right, my mother, my parents, and even those who came after me who did not get access to education, they did not see the importance of going to all these places. They would rather rely on the traditional way, the native way. So most of them did not even go to the hospital to give birth, right? Because they have so many misconception about it. They are like, oh, it's best to give birth home and all those stuff. Even though I know we have our culture and all that, right? But I believe like sometimes some of these actions, like the children who were born through this method of parents taking a lot of native medicine, not giving birth at home, some of them end up dying. Some of them end up having the deformities and all that. So I believe that if the parents had education, if they were educated, they knew the importance of going to the hospital, they knew the importance of taking vaccination, how to take care of your child, how to eat healthy, and then all that, they would have done the right thing. And the last link I would want to make to it is education and then economic growth. I mean, education helps, like it raises workforce. It equips our individuals with the necessary skills. It drives innovation. It attracts investment. It equips individuals with the knowledge and the competences to make sure that they are all contributing to the national development. So as I conclude, I want to say that education is not just one goal among the 17 SDGs that we have. Education is a multiplier. Education is the center to achieving all the other SDGs. Just like health, just like everything, because when an individual is educated, they can come out of poverty. When an individual is educated, their chances of going through gender-based violence is very low. Because I'm sure the amazing women that we have on this panel, the amazing women that we see online and in everywhere would not just stay in a place. I know, marriages and those things that's happened, but the chances are very low because you know when to walk out when it's necessary. When you have your economic independence and all that, you are able to decide on how you want to do with your life. And this could be achieved definitely through education. So thank you all for your time and for paying attention to me. I know Ghana has really come far. For me, wherever that I stand, I speak very good of Ghana. In the United States here, whichever platform that I stand on, sometimes people, before they talk to you, they know you are an African already. They have so many perceptions that, okay, probably you didn't get very good education, probably you are poor. And all I tell them, no, when it comes to Ghana, we have, in as much as we still have some challenges that we are trying to resolve, we are doing well in our education system, in our everything. But I believe that if we become more intentional, increase our education budgets, making sure that we are bridging the rural, urban education in terms of infrastructure, in terms of quality education, we are making sure that we are hiring more teachers. We are making sure that the education that we are giving them is not just, putting them in school, but we are making sure they are learning and they come out as individuals who are going through education, but not just as individuals who has gone to school, but as individuals who has gone through education. And I know that with time, Ghana is becoming great. And if we are able to continue like that, we would become greater and greater. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. That was a wonderful, thought-provoking talk. Thank you very much for giving us the history of education and also stressing on we having quality education as well. And you also indicate of schools that we have that are disability friendly. It is true. I think TV3 a few months ago showed a certain guy who is a disabled and having the challenge of accessing educational facilities. When he has been to about 3 schools, and because of the notion that we have towards these people, so they didn't admit him and all that. I think that is a really concern that we all, the nation at large, have to look at. Thank you very much. Also, indicating that education is meant for everyone, so such kind of things should not happen. And we know that you being, be the African Youth Forum representative to the United Nations, of course, such issues will be raised there, and of course, our leaders do come for such kind of meetings and all that, and so you take these issues up there, and we know that obviously when it gets their ears, they will come back and implement, the solutions that we all want, the right thing that we all need to be done for us to have a good education for us all. Thank you very much, Ms. Joyce. I really appreciate your time. Okay, so without much ado, I would like to invite Dr. Kwesi Elage. Doc, welcome.
Hi, Wisdom.
Hi, Doc. Please, I can hear you.
All right. So I'm not so certain about my network, whether is that healthy. So I'll try to turn off the camera whilst I share my screen to do the presentation, if that's okay by you.
Sure, that is okay.
Wisdom, can you hear me? Am I on?
Yes, Doc, I can hear you. I can hear you. Thank you.
All right, that's okay. So I move to share. Okay. Are we good?
Sure.
Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, it is clear. We can see.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, good evening, morning to all of us, wherever we may find ourselves. I'm Kwesi Elage. I'm a pharmacist. So I would like to just touch on a few of the SDGs. I'm happy. I think it's quite touched on good governance. I think Vanessa, Dr. Abuaji, yes, spoke about health, and Joyce has done a marvelous job with education as well. So I'll just like to highlight on some of these things briefly and see how we're able to, based on these, to fast track Ghana's development. As we may have already heard from the other speakers, it's not as though Ghanaians do not know what we should do. It's not as though we lack the goals. The SDGs are there, they are clear. If you followed Joyce's presentation, she took us through where we were and where we are now. And you would understand that the challenge is actually not that we lack development goals. The core issue is what we put first, what we put the gas pedal on, and the like. So it's all about what we are prioritizing and what we are accelerating. All the SDGs, the efforts to try and then achieve these goals through certain strategic pillars. So one person may say, well, this is SDG. Another person will say that. We would all talk about what we are focusing on. Vanessa made mention about the multiplier effect. It's similar to what I also want us to put our minds on. Which of the SDGs creates the strongest multiplier effect? I have my answer, and I would like all of us to walk through this as we have why I think health should be what we focus on as the linchpin as we look at other SDGs to support. First of all, the SDG or SDGs that we think would help fast track Ghana's development should have an economic multiplier potential. I think Vanessa did a good job with this, explaining the logic behind mentioning whether we can fund it and a whole lot of selection criteria. So I'm also looking at it from this angle. Which of the SDGs have great human capital impact? Because after all that we are talking about, it's about the humans. The development is towards us. So if we are talking about any of the SDGs, which of them affect the human capital the most? Let's think about that. Which of them? Whatever SDG that we think is going to fast track development in Ghana should also have an employment generation capacity. It should be able to give rise to employability. People are employed, they get something for hand to mouth. That SDG or SDGs should have such capacity. Private sector is seen as very pivotal when we are looking at fast-paced development, because the government alone cannot do it all. So whichever SDG that we are focusing on, logically, per my selection, should have that as something it looks at. It should be able to leverage that private sector. It shouldn't be something that the private sector will not have a say or a role in. It should also have something that has the other leg, having an institutional reinforcement. Based on what I have just spoken about, I believe that the bridge and what will be the catalyst, what will take us to the promised land, is health. And that, for me, is the foundational infrastructure when it comes to fast-track development. I believe that once we have a healthy population, we are going to drive productivity. It's health. I would keep my submission very brief because I believe the other panelists have done very good work on it. Sorry about that. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. I'm back now. Okay. I think it should be better now. All right. Sorry about the mishap. So, why are we saying that health? I have no idea why this has turned on DNT, but okay. Still sorry about that again. I'm somewhere, so I do not have access to my laptop. I'm trying to still use this. So healthy populations, as I mentioned, drive productivity and GDP growth. And please, you are saying?
That's okay. We can hear you.
Okay, all right. So when there's something called disease burden, right? So, for example, I think Dr. Abuaji Kwe, I don't know if I remember the last name correctly, but that's Vanessa, spoke about putting our mind to the costs that when we do not have good health is going to bring. The domino effect that if we are not healthy, things that is going to lead to. If there is malaria, what is the disease burden? Lost work hours, the stress that we go through emotionally, the financial burden that it brings. That for us is the burden that it brings. So if we have a healthy population, the labor is efficient because you are not missing school, you are not missing class. I think Vanessa did a good job explaining this aspect of my presentation. So all the other SDGs coming together, all of them, if we are not healthy, if the population is not healthy, if it's not alive, we are not able to achieve them. Fact. Strong health systems enhance national resilience. When COVID came, assuming we had a very strong health system, whether it's a judiciary, whether it's good governance, whether it's education, all those things. If we have strong health system, the nation is going to be extra resilient. That is one thing that we should look at as well. So for me, the foundation, the cornerstone, if you like, for fast tracking Ghana's development is health. So health definitely is going to accelerate development. If we are not alive, as I said earlier on, all of these SDGs will not matter, because then what are we even talking about if we are not healthy in the first place? Think about it from this angle. We have healthy mothers giving birth to healthy children. Other places, we have their birth rate declining. No matter how they develop their infrastructure, no matter how they improve access to water and everything that we will talk about, if we do not have a healthy population, then the healthcare related poverty that is bringing is going to put a burden on human capital. So if we want to ensure that in the long term we have improved human capital, then we should bring in a healthy population. If you want to develop the country, you definitely need a strong workforce. And if your workforce is to be that effective, is to be that efficient, it has to be stable, it has to be predictable. You have to know that this is your workforce, this is the number of people who can go to work every day in and out. You should be able to know all of these populations. You should be able to project. How do you project? You project by knowing the number of people who are healthy, even mentally, people who are fit to be able to do certain jobs. That all boils down to their health. So if you have a healthy population, I believe it's going to accelerate development. This, for me, is why health matters the most. As I started my presentation with, I mentioned that I believe that health should be the chief cornerstone, supported by other SDGs in order to accelerate development. As Joyce rightly said, CEO Joyce, thank you very much for your very apt presentation. If we have education, education will be the growth engine of fast-tracked development. If you know that you would have built skilled workforce for industrialization, which is another thing that the economy should be looking at. Once we have built educated population, it's going to enhance innovation and digital transformation capacity of the country, which at this point in time, that is where the world is focusing, and that is where the world is leaning towards. It is going to make us competitive globally. You sit here and someone in the Asia, someone in the Americas, everything that they are doing, you are unable to do because you lack certain education. Not because you lack that ability, but because you have not been exposed to that. You have not been educated. All of us coming on here, all of these things that we have all assimilated and then we are making use of, it's because of some of these educations that we have had. Not only formal education, but informal education, and then learning from other people. I believe that has been what has catalyzed the growth for us. So if we want to fast track development in Ghana, we need a healthy population that is educated. That for me is going to fast track education development. Work and economic growth represent as about half of the youth being African. So if we have this high youth potential, if we have this youth growth coming up, and we are not making them gainfully employed, not just employed, but gainfully employed, if the systems, if the legislations and the governance and all of those things are not supporting their work, as Esquire started by saying, then we know that we are going to have issues. If government, if the things that they are talking about is not going to ensure that we are getting decent work and it's not driving economic growth, then we have an issue. Then our development is going to be stagnant. Then we will not be able to fast track our development. So if we once again want to fast track our development as a nation, then decent work and economic growth should be another focus of the country. This is going to expand our tax base, increase domestic consumption, because why not? We are now producing fine brains who are producing a lot of good things that the country can absorb and ensuring that our domestic consumption goes up. Then it's also going to strengthen middle class and private sector growth, which drives around the two other SDGs that I spoke about, because the middle class and private sector own part of these developments. If you remember, when I was talking about the logic behind these selections, I mentioned that it should have that private sector capacity. It should be able to leverage that private sector capacity or develop potential. So if it's going to be able to do that, then you know that in the long run, we are strengthening the middle class and private sector to see that health improve learning capacity. Education improves productivity and innovation. Then economic growth generates employment. Employment then sustains health and education investment. So if you like, you look at it as a tripod. If you look at it as health as the base or the foundation, the core of it. Definitely, once we are educated, we are going to be more productive because now we know exactly what we are doing. We are going to be innovative and come up with new ideas because now we are highly educated. That leads to economic growth, which generates employment. That employment, because now we have something that when we dip our hand into our pocket, it falls on, we'll be able to sustain health and education. And that flywheel then takes us up. It catapults us, and then our development is fast track. Now, what does this mean for Ghana as a nation? It means that we should prioritize health as a foundation. That is what we should do. We should prioritize health as foundation. Once we have a healthy population and align education to industry and future skills, it's going to accelerate the job-rich sectors, which in the long run is going to ensure that people get jobs, and then it will drive that public-private education partnership, execution partnership, I meant to say. So the government is doing its bit, ensuring that things that are the public sector oriented, that is there, is being taken care of. Then we also have our jobs, because we are healthy and highly educated, we're able to fund these private sector activities. That would be how I would want to position this, and the SDGs, I believe, are going to help us fast track our development as a nation. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Elijah. And that was a great presentation. Really appreciate your time taking us through, combining almost all the SDGs, letting us know the key ones that are being needed. And one thing that I actually put from the presentation is that a healthy population is all that is needed. So we for Ghana to develop, we need a healthy population and education. And these key things are needed from the presentation that you've shared, tackling all the ones that we had, joining all together, putting stressing on the healthy aspect of it. I think it is good. We obviously have to be conscious about everything that concerns our health. Now, you watch TVs, and I think that was a few weeks ago. I watched TV, and when we go to the market, we are even we are even in danger when going to the market, because things that have been sold out there are being, polluted and all that. So, in fact, we need education, a serious education on everything, every aspect of our lives. And thank you very much, Dr. Elijah. I really appreciate your time taking us through all these goals. And I just don't know what to say, but then all I want to say is thank you very much, Dr. Elijah. I didn't know that you were able to join because of how busy you are, but then you still make it the point to join. Thank you very much, Dr. Elijah. I really appreciate your time. Okay, so without much ado, I would like to invite Justina Ejakwa. She is joining us from Sunyani. She's a mental health nurse. So Justina, if you can hear me, please, Mr. Ten. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon and good evening, everyone. as he said, thank you very much for this opportunity. And we have been talking. Can I be heard? Hello.
Sure, we can hear you.
Okay, so just as we are talking about the SDGs, and it is very important and they are very interrelated, we cannot talk about one aspect and leave the other. So I will go for the third, which is about the health, of which Dr. Vanessa had talked about it, and then Dr. had also just elaborated on it. But I want to talk on substance, substance abuse. I want to chip in substance abuse, and it has to do with our mental health. We have been talking about health. You cannot do health without the mental capacity being in a good shape. Okay, and for that reason, our mental health is very, very key in every aspect of it. We need development, we need progress, we need innovations. But in this aspect, if the mind or the brain is not working, the human being cannot be there to bring up this development, this innovation, this entirety of everything we are talking about. And for that reason, our mental health is very, very key in this aspect of this SDGs. And I believe it would help us. So we are looking at substance abuse, and I think it is a key thing and it is a prevalent thing that is affecting our economy, our nation, and then the entire globe at large. Studies have shown that about 12.3% of our youth are abusing drug, and then between the ages of 10 and 17 is the most common people that you can. And from studies, the men do or guys do abuse drugs more than our women. And the most commonest of the drugs that can be easily abused is the alcohol and then the cigarette, because about 56.9% of people abuse alcohol, and then 26.4 also abuse cigarettes, and that is the most very common one you can find in our community. And therefore, with the SDG, addiction and safety is something we cannot take it out of it, because it's there to strengthen and prevent the abuse of narcotic and then drug use. And for that reason, we have to take it at heart. We are looking at a situation whereby people are abusing drugs and it is having a harmful and then a hazardous use on our life, because they are using illicit drugs, and as a result, it is affecting the brain, our behavior, and then our decision making. So if someone is abusing drugs, it means that the brain is not there to work. How he relates with other people is not there, and the person does not even have the capacity to make decision, which is very vital in our development as a nation. And this is a major public health concern. And why is it so? There are a lot of drugs that are being abused, but there's common ones that you can mention is the alcohol, the tobacco, the cannabis. Can talk about the opioids, the stimulants, and then the misprescriptions. Sometimes the person had been to the hospital and he's been given treatment or prescriptions, and because the person didn't hear it well or felt that if I take the drug, maybe malaria, if I take this one 4 and I take this one 3 and I take the other one 2, I'll be fine. And for that reason, the person keep on abusing. In recent time, we can talk about red. Red, that is the most common thing that is being abused in the system. People take this drug and you see them standing still and they cannot do or bring anything meaningful to their lives. And for that reason, it is something we have to talk about it. Why do we have to talk about it? Because the more people who abuse this substance, they become dependent on it. And the more they become dependent on it, it's very difficult for them to refrain from the drug, because you see, the brain has these neurotransmitters, has a rewarding attitude or appreciation that comes from the brain itself. And therefore, when people keep on abusing drug, the reward pattern ceases. And for that reason, they depend on the outside world. That is, the person taking in any of the opioids or any of the amphetamine or any of the other drugs, so that this reward pattern can be achieved. And this is the pattern that makes a human being or any person feel very good. For that reason, the person would want to take the drug so that he will feel good at all time. And mind you, The moment the drug is not in the system, we call something tolerance. That is where that the person would have to increase the dose so that the initial effect that the person had can be achieved. And for that reason, if I used to buy maybe alcohol 5 cedi in a day and I'm fine, a time will come I cannot depend on the 5 cedi. I would have to increase the dosage so that I will receive that reward, that feeling, that euphoria that I experience. I can still have it at hand. That is why we are talking about the drugs. And then it comes to dependence. You get to a stage that the drug is having a serious effect on the individual. Doctors are talking about it, relatives are talking about it, people around you keep talking about it. But because you are so dependent on the drug physically and psychologically, you cannot refrain from this. And then when someone even tries to refrain from the drug because of the withdrawal syndrome, the person is unable to refrain from the drug, because when the drug is not in the system, you become confused, you are shaking, you are feeling irritable, and for that signs and symptoms, the person would not want to, because of the confusion, the poor concentration, and then even the impaired judgment, a person would not want to refrain from the drug. But if the drug is there, the person is able to move on with his daily living or activities of daily living. For that reason, this is something that we cannot overlook in our health and as an SGD in general. Then the withdrawal signs and symptoms, because of the restlessness, the irritability, sometimes it even affects our sleep pattern and then our physical discomfort. You are not okay because you need the drug to keep up. You need the drug to keep work. You need the drug to concentrate. You need the drug to help you. So we want to see, why are people abusing this drug? What is the source of it? What happened? Then the genesis of it. Why is it so? One of it is that it is peer influence or peer pressure. Within, as I earlier said, within the ages of 10 and 14, that is the season that most people abuse this drug. And you see, we always want to be accepted by our peers. For that reason, we will do anything so that we can be included, or we have a sense of belongingness. So if a Kwame or a Kosia takes the drug and it tells you, oh, this thing, when you take it, you will feel very okay. You will feel good. Yeah. Your body will be relaxed. Then the happiness that you receive, the excitement that comes with it, you want to experience it. And you see, human beings, we want to know. We always want to know. Curiosity. We would want to know how it feels like. And for that reason, it can lead a lot of people to take this drug. Another point we can talk about is the availability of the drug. Everywhere you go, it is very available. In our drugs, in our pharmacy shop, in our even at places where the eateries, you can find some of this drug there. And for that reason, it is available. And then the price is also very cheap. With 5 cedi or 10 cedi, you can get a stuff, and then you are quick to go. And there is also this people who normally abuse drugs. They are very good friends. Even if you don't have money, they will sort you out. For that reason, you are okay. And then let's see our advertisement on our social media handles and on the TV or wherever you go. Alcohol and other drugs is on the ascendancy everywhere. It seems that Ghana, what will make a man work in bed, or what will make a man very good in bed, that has to do with our sex. It means you have to take something. For that reason, most of the advertisement that goes on our social media handles, they are advertising that if you want to be good in bed, you have to take these things, and most of them, they are alcohol based, and it doesn't help. Then we'll also look at poor parental supervision or guidance. We are getting to a point that we're talking about the SDG, whereby we're talking about the education. I think it has gotten to a point that most of the work have been left in the hands of teachers, that when you go, your teacher would have to take care of everything. And even at home, we are about 2 or 3. If parents are not able to put their eyes down and look at what really goes with us, what the nitty-gritties of our life, how much more a secondary school whereby over 5,000 or 6,000 pupils are there. The teacher cannot do that alone. And for that reason, parent would have to be up and doing, because because our children are disturbing us, we'll have to give them our phones so that we can also do what we are doing. If they go on these social medias and the kind of things they are watching or the kind of things they are seeing, we have no idea about it. And for that reason, when the supervision is very poor, these things are on the ascendancy. We can also talk about unemployment and stress. Unemployment will go hand in hand. If you are not employed and you have nothing to do, I believe when you go and take in some short of a 5 CD or maybe a 2 CD, it will help you to forget about what is wrong with you. But then that is not the cure. Okay, so when this happening and society find people do that, oh, you are good for nothing. Why would you live here and not find job to do? And the kind of words that they are being said to you are harsh and not kind. I believe this can lead a lot of people to go into drugs. And for that matter, then let's look at some of the effects. It had so many effects. From the crown of our head to the sole of our feet, drug have effect on us. We can talk the health implications, right? From we can talk about cancer of the throat. We can talk about liver cirrhosis. We can talk about brain tumor. We can talk about so many things. That is the physical side. And then when we go about the mental side, we can talk about people drinking or people abusing alcohol or people abusing this weed or red, and then they are fitting. That is epilepsy. Meanwhile, in the originality, they are not people who fit, but because of drugs, they are fitting. We cannot even add the liver cancer, the liver cirrhosis, and a whole lot of things. It is resolving as a result of this drug that people are taking. Then it also have effect on our academics and then our work. Our work also decline. These days, sometimes you wonder the kind of people who have been trained, who have even gone through the education ladder, and they are at the secondary school ladder, or even have come out as professionals. The basic things that we expect them to do or expect them to know, they are not able to do them. Meanwhile, they have certificates. And you go in, they are able to get these certifications and all other things and come out of it. Meanwhile, they are not good on the job. And if this happens, it's bring a,
Hello, Justina.
hello, please. Am I heard? Yes. Sorry.
Yes. Okay.
Another point we can also talk about is that it brings conflict in our families, family relation, marital relation, and you cannot talk about substance having effect on our family, because whenever the man or the woman goes to take something and comes home, he has poor judgment, he has poor thinking, he is not able to put things right. Even the money that can be used to support the home, he can spend this money anyhow, and is always going to bring conflict. And nobody would want to be shamed, because you say, oh, I met your husband, oh, he's drunk there, and you would have to go for him and bring him back home. And it is sometimes people of great honor, people that we are well respected, but because of substance, they are nowhere to be found. And then because of that, it is also going to bring financial constraints, because the economy already is not working. And so if the little you get, you are to spend it on drugs, then it means that you are going nowhere. The little you have to pay your debt, because people who normally abuse that, sometimes they go to the pubs, and because they have this relationship with the owner, you would have to give them something, and the day they have some money in their pocket, they would have to come and pay. And because of that, they cannot, their finances is nothing to talk about. And then it also increase the risks of accident and then crime. We can see that of late, crime and accidents are of the ascendancy. And you ask, what is it? People, most of the drivers take these things, they abuse these drugs, and while they are driving, they are not of themselves. Their concentrations and attention is very poor, and that is what is bringing a lot of this accidents on our roads and crime, because the moment the person takes the drug, it affects the behavior, it affects the thinking, it affects the judgment, and a whole lot. For that reason, you can just point a gun at anybody because he doesn't see you as a human being. And then because they need to sort themselves out, they would have to do anything. So let us see. What are the roles of stakeholders? What can we do? What measures can we put in place so that we can help curb this menace? We are saying that we need to do abstinence-based program. And abstinence is the key, because you see, the day you will take a shot of maybe weed, you may not know what would happen to you. There are some people who profess that, oh, I have taken this thing for a very long time and nothing is happening to me. And it doesn't mean that today nothing is not happening to you. It doesn't mean that in the near future something will not happen to you. Okay, and therefore when you take it, it is very addictive. And for that reason, we are preaching that people should not even indulge themselves in it before it will lead to the other things. And then if they have indulged themselves in it, then they need counseling and then therapy. Or if they are being influenced by other people, or if they are stressful situation at
Hello. Hello, Justina.
yeah, hello. Sorry. Rather than relying on alcohol and these drugs that we are talking about. And we are also saying
Oh, thank you. Your network.
not going to
Hello.
school, you can, yeah.
Okay.
Hello, please, can you be heard?
Sure.
Hello.
Proceed, please.
All right.
Sure, you can proceed. Okay.
All right. So our family system should be revamped so that when they see something, they can say something and they can all talk about it. And it will not be that it is Akosia's child. And for that reason, Akosia is the one who has a sole responsibility of talking about Akosia's issue. We should all be each other's keeper. And then the last of it has to do with rehabilitation. So if somebody is abusing and has gotten to a stage of being dependent on it, I believe hope is not lost. If the person has a willpower and have decided, has a change of mind that I want to come out of it, I think there are lots of ways, there are lots of avenues, there are lots of opportunities that the person can recover out of it. We are saying that there are other things we can also do is the stakeholders engagement. That is in our school settings, our parents and our guidance can also talk about our health professionals. When we can go to them and talk, have counseling session with them, have an interactive discussion which can help us. And then we can also look at our religious and community leaders. I believe they also they have a great impact in our society, because if a gongona is being sung today or rang today that nobody is supposed to go to the riverside, or the chief says that when it is 6 a.m. nobody should come out, I believe we are all going to comply. And for that reason, when they also raise their voices in this situation, I believe we'll be able to handle it. And then government agencies. Somebody asked that where are the FDAs and them, because the drugs are in the system. Where do they come from? The law enforcement agency, if they don't find ways to curb this menace, I believe it is going to be a big blow to all of us. For that reason, we need the stakeholders to be involved so that we look at proper ways in which we can handle the drug situation in our country. I think this is what I want to say. I would tell each and everybody on the platform or listening to me that drugs is deadly. It goes a long way to affect the entire nation as a whole. And for that reason, we should make it a point in time, a point to abstain from it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, my sister Justina Jakwa. That has been an awesome presentation. I've just been wondering, when we're presenting and making points of what is happening in the system, I was just worried because it was just last week, and TV3. They indicated that, no, that was Joy News. Yeah, they indicated that challenge about that's 2024 to 2025 accident has been an increase almost about 18.5%. In 2024, accident that the country recorded was 2,494 accident cases, and in 2025 it increased up to 2,949. Almost 3,000 accident cases. And the major cause issue from your presentation, I can attest to the fact that it is substance abuse. Substance abuse has been a major cause of we having that increase in road accident and all that. And I believe, just as we've indicated, we need education in various aspects in the community and everywhere. We need to be educating in our public, the drivers, and everyone. We needed to actually come on board to help address this issue. It's been a challenge. Looking at the figures that you gave, that drug abuse has been an increase between little children, which is 10 to 14 years. I mean, this is a concern which we all have to, the country have to address. Thank you very much, my sister, for giving us this amazing presentation. Really appreciate your time and everything. Okay, so without okay, so I would like to invite Maxwell, Danso Boache. He is a chartered accountant and economist. He's a senior audit consultant at KPMG Ghana. But of course, we all call him. When I share the flyer, I say, "Hey, financial maths, when he comes, I should get them their KVN." So, bro, after the presentation, then you chip in the KVN. The floor is yours, bro. Thank you. Hello, Max.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Okay.
Good evening. I don't know if you can see my screen at the moment, bro.
Sure.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. My name is Maxwell. I'm really privileged to have the opportunity to share with you something I'm really passionate about. So I've actually heard a lot of people speak, from Marcos to Vanessa to I think Joyce and Justina. I was really enthused about the angle and the approach to which they took their presentations. And particularly, I would like to present on this SDG that really it's really personal to me, because I've sat on platforms like this, not as a speaker, but as also a listener and a huge advocate for sustainable development. And it's one thing that over the years, as I sat and also observed various speakers speak to me on how important all the SDGs are, and the and the pertinent ones that they've spoken about earlier. There was one SDG that I felt could actually fuel our national development and also push our country into a different stratosphere when it comes to development. And that SDG was SDG 11. So I'm not discrediting the other SDGs that they've spoken about, because they are pharmacists, they are health workers, they are educationists in their own rights, and they would like to push SDGs are along the lines of what they believe in and what they observe in their daily lives. But this is an SDG that I feel, or I strongly believe, that much focus hasn't been on. And I feel and believe strongly, if we are able to also advocate along the lines of this SDG, it would also help us as a nation to grow forward and also to grow sustainably. So the question here is, or what we are talking about today is the fastest path to Ghana's development. And I believe strongly that sustainable cities and communities is one true way or one sure way to reach that particular goal. I wanted us to highlight one thing, which we all feel this particular SDG one way or the other, because one way or the other we are all from somewhere and we've come here, okay, or majority of us are from somewhere and we are where we are right now, whether in your homes or in your offices or anywhere you find yourself right now, and it's all caused by migration. And as we move from rural places to urban places, we are going to increase the population in those urban populations or urban places. So statistically, it's obvious that 55% of Ghanaians or more constitutes an urban population. And also we can also find it clearly statistically that there are 2 million housing deficit. That means that there are people ready to get housed, or there are housing inadequacy fetching or leading up to about 2 million people. And you know our population alone as a country is getting towards 40 million already. So if there are 2 million people that are either homeless or have next to no place to call a home, then that means we are slowly pushing ourselves into a dark problem. Another thing that we also have to be very keen on is that cities drive GDP. It will be shocking to you that the GDP of Ghana, that's what we're able to, our output per our economic activities that we do, it's mainly driven by Accra, Kumasi, and Takrady. And it's shocking to know that there are certain cities in the world whose GDP alone, okay, as a city, is even quadruple or triple what Ghana's GDP is. And as near, as far as Johannesburg alone contributes more than Ghana's GDP entirely. That goes to show how important it is that we drive or we push for this SDG seriously, and that could be the catalyst for growth in Ghana. One thing that strikes me or makes me excited about this SDG is its multiplier effect, because I call this an enabler SDG because it doesn't stand alone. Pushing sustainable cities is going to also push decent work, it's going to also push economic growth one way or the other. And additionally, it's going to also push infrastructure, because sustainable cities alone is not a standalone. It inadvertently pushes good buildings, more infrastructure, more health facilities, better roads, and everything of that sort. So I deem this SDG as a sure bet for us to improve our stakes as a country, because it has a multiplier effect. It affects jobs, it affects infrastructure, and its main goal is also to make cities and communities more sustainable. So now here's the problem. Why aren't we actually meeting or towing the good lines of this goal? The reason is we have fragmented records, we have informal renting, there's low transparency, and there's loss in tax revenue. So what do I mean by this? When it comes to fragmented records, we have so many different authorities or regulators that are actually overseeing our cities, our communities, our housing, and also our rental framework in Ghana. And the fact is that there is no consolidation. Lands Commission has its bits, Ghana State Works and Housing has its bits. There are no structured records with regards to how we can solve this urban canker. So I feel and I deem it fit that with we knowing this particular problem and aligning solutions to it, it can actually help us actually grow as a nation and also increase growth with regards to national development. Also, there's also informal renting. Well, what do I mean by this? Basically, when it comes to rent, we have tenants, you have landlords, you have regulators. Okay, tenants are not protected, it's obvious. Landlords also lack empowerment because they're also not protected one way or the other. Also, when it comes to regulators don't stamp much authority as they should or as they could. And this makes the whole rental environment more informal. Okay, there is no transparency. In no transparency, what I mean is that the whole urban canker is riddled with a lot of opaque activities. What do I mean by this? People actually sign contracts or enter into rental agreements verbally. There are no structured legal frameworks with regards to how urbanization or renting could be done. Also, one thing is that when it comes to pricing, there's a lot of monopoly and also price discrimination when it comes to the whole urbanization and rental system in Ghana. So it makes room for a lot of exploitation. Also, one thing that we can also talk about is loss of tax revenue, because with all these things not being structured, with all these things not being firmed up, the country loses revenue. And that's fed into what I earlier spoke about, that our GDP reduces, because indirectly, if all these things are not in check, we will not have enough revenue. And through that revenue shortfall, government can't stamp much authority into maintaining sustainable communities and sustainable cities. These are solutions that I came up with. Personally, this particular SDG has driven me and a few colleagues of mine and friends to set up a venture to try to mitigate this particular SDG one way or the other. And that solution or that venture is property management council. This particular setting is not right for me to speak more about it, but I wanted to chip that in. So what we do, or what we believe that we can do to help make this SDG a reality, is that we have to find a way to digitize our records. So the unfragmented records, we are trying to mitigate that by enforcing a digital mode of recording or keeping records. Also automating renting, that when it comes to renting, because there are no documentation around rental proposals and rental agreements, we also felt that the way to go is to be smart about it, and that's to introduce an automated mode in going by renting in this part of the world. Also maintenance tracking, so people have apartments, those who are actually living in a good place also find problems with their landlords, because things are not being maintained. When you ask the landlord will let you know that it's about the assembly, or it's about the place that they are in. Everyone is trying to push the blame, and you don't get to see where the bar stops. And with this framework, when it comes to maintenance tracking, we can actually make a conscious effort with regards to tracking maintenance to ensure that if you're going to rent a place or if you're going to get a space, you actually know the maintenance records of this space before getting into it. So when it comes to negotiating for rent, negotiation for any particular facility or anything that you want, there's a clear maintenance tracking or records for you to go about. And one solution that is going to help us with regards to policy making, with regards to making informed decisions personally or as an entity, is urban data. We lack urban data because people don't really know that, okay, I stay in Tema, or I stay in Sunyani, or I stay in Kumasi. These are the number of houses in Kumasi. This is where houses are concentrated. This is the weaknesses, or the, how do you call it, the disadvantages of being in this area. We lack urban data. Hence people are not well informed to make decisions about urbanization and how to make more use of their resources. So we feel like
And hello, Max. Hello, Max. Can you hear me? Hello, Max.
with
Okay.
this solution, by gathering air bubble, that's also going to go a long way to help. Okay, so what's this thing? The impact? Yeah, can you hear me, Wisdom? Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sure. It's now okay. Thank you.
Yeah, Wisdom, I can hear you now.
Yeah, proceed. Yeah, proceed. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So the impact on okay. So the impact of what we are speaking about so far on SDG level is going to promote affordable housing, because if we have urban data, we have there is no okay, it's going to promote what the government or every government is saying about bringing about affordable housing to alleviate the the, the poverty or the economic stress of the citizenry. Additionally, it's going to also plan city capitals in our urban areas, and with all this fermented, if urban all this data is well available, the government is going to be able to make proper policy with regards to planning, and also this is going to help us have planned cities and also resilient buildings, because there is going to be enough information in the system, and you're going to structure the buildings in a way where, because there's maintenance tracking, as I spoke earlier about, and since there's maintenance tracking, there's going to be resilient buildings, because you know that okay, this building is due for maintenance, this place is not good for human habitation, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now where it means a lot to me is about the economic effect, because it's going to boost investor confidence, because if you have a sustainable city, investors would like to come to that city and invest, because people, there are sustainable solution with regards to building. Okay, so it's going to boost investor confidence. Either in the real estate sector or any other sector, it's going to higher tax revenue, because now they can actually track things. They can actually track all entities.
Hello, Max. I think, Max, can you hear me?
Track landlord, track tenants, property
Hello, Max.
rate is going to go is going to go up. There's data in the system, if there's information in the system, because most of the time, one thing that really causes economic inefficiency is lack of information or information asymmetry. When
It's not so.
yeah, is the
Hello,
network
Max.
better now?
Yeah, I think we were having very difficult, listening to you. I think it's been some sort of, it's not consistent. So I don't know if maybe you can maybe check your sit properly, or maybe check your location, and because we're not hearing you properly.
Okay, but is it better now? Is it a bit better now?
Sure, it's now better. You can proceed. Thank you.
Okay, so I was speaking on the job creation bits of the economic effect. So if I can reiterate that, is it fine to reiterate that, or was clear?
Oh no, I think it's okay. So you can proceed.
Okay, sure. So what's the vision here? So the vision is to have smart buildings, and buildings where smart buildings, I mean buildings where maintenance is in check, buildings that are sustainable for the future, buildings that for redevelopment and growth for the future is more sustainable. And that's going to build a smart city. So a city where all the basic infrastructure is readily available, a city where is well planned, a city where there are a lot of opportunities and job creation. And that's going to lead to a stronger Ghana. Okay, so that's the vision we are looking up here with regards to this particular SDG. So guys, in conclusion of this short episode I just shared with you, I strongly believe Ghana needs systems, not just structure. Our growth or how to hasten our national development is not about concrete, it's not about bricks or mortar, but it's more about the systems that we create. And these systems are going to be created on smart solutions that we give. Digital platform, property data, good urban planning, being very connected, creating not an opaque space, but a transparent space, and being more productive. And I believe with all these things, is going to bring a sustainable development to Mother Ghana. So guys, thank you so much. Wisdom and the team, thank you for planning this, and it was a pleasure to speak to you all.
Thank you very much, Mas. I mean, this has been a fantastic presentation. Someone tested me that I should tell you that after the presentation, you should just go and handle this presentation to the government, because we need these solutions. We urgently need these solutions to be implemented. Especially look at how choked Accra is. This plan. So I am just carrying this message to you that after the year, so please try and just forward it to them so that they will implement these solutions. So fantastic, amazing for us to have everything well in plan. Of course, we are in digital age, so we need not going back to the old, ages, old ways of doing things. Thank you very much, my brother Maxwell, for that an awesome presentation. We really appreciate you. So I would like to welcome my brother. Okay, so he is a marine engineer, and his name is Prince Ba at Temoport. So, Prince, if you can hear me, time is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Master Wisdom, for giving me this opportunity to talk about this particular topic. Thank you very much. I'm much grateful. So, I will share my screen, then I'll proceed from there.
Sure.
Okay. Hello? Hello? Please, can you hear me? And can you see?
Yes, please, we can hear you.
Okay, so can you see the screen now?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, so good evening once again. And I'm talking about the impact of the SDG on Ghana's growth and development in the maritime sector. Ghana's maritime sector is important because ports supports international trade and move goods in and out of the country. So about 80 to 90% of the world's trade are carried by the sea. So this tells you how important the sea is in the growth of the economy. Most world trade is carried by sea, which is about 80 to 90% of it. And I earlier spoke about it. And the ocean also supports fisheries, jobs, and food security, especially for coastal communities. Some of the importance of our oceans are they supplies food for us and also serves as heat sink. So most of the heat that we generate also goes into the sea and absorb them. And also, it also absorbs the carbon dioxide that we breathe out as humans and as living organisms. Then also the sea also serves as means of transport, which carries goods from other countries to other places as well. And this topic, I would like to speak about blue economy and its totally in line with SDG, which is Sustainable Developmental Goals. Blue economy simply means sustainable use of the ocean, sea, and coastal resources for economic growth. This is a simple definition for blue economy. And it supports SDG 14, SDG 9, SDG 2, and SDG 8. So I will touch on all these goals and align it with the maritime industry. Please, can you hear me clear?
Sure, we can hear you.
Okay. So I'll start with SDG 2, which is no hunger. This goal helps to achieve food security and improves nutrition. That is the aim of this goal. So I have here improves fisheries and aquaculture value chain. This simply means when we are able to manage the fisheries and aquaculture industry, there will be availability of food, which are the fishes that we get from the sea. And then also when there are availability of food, which is the fishes and also a source of protein for humans, it means prices will go down and everyone will be able to afford and buy. We have some people who don't eat meats. And for that instance, if there are food shortage, which is seafoods, then it means they are going to find themselves being wanted because fishes are their source of food. So with that, it means if we can manage the fisheries industry and the aquaculture industry very well, then it means there will be availability of fishes in the market and everyone will be able to afford them. By so doing, we are able to achieve our goal, which is zero hunger in relation to the maritime sector. Then I move on to SDG 4, which is the quality education, which is the quality education. Quality education in the sense that everyone has the right to be educated. And I've forgotten the name of the lady who spoke about education, which is Goal 14 in relation to education. It enhances innovation and digital transformation, which means if you're able to educate ourselves, it will enhance innovation and digital transformation. These goals aim to ensure inclusive and equitable and quality education. In the maritime sector, we have the International Maritime Organization, who controls the affairs of the maritime industry in the world. And when it comes to the national level, we have a body which the government has given them the authority to control the maritime affairs in the national level. And in our instance in Ghana here, we have the Ghana Maritime Authority. They control the maritime affairs in Ghana. And the International Maritime Organization has a convention that they use to regulate the training and the education aspect of our seafarers and professionals in the maritime industry. And that convention is the STCW, which is the Standard of Training, Certification, and Watchkeeping. In the maritime industry, I should say, it's a very strict industry because they don't joke with their training, they don't joke with their certification, and they don't joke with their lances. Even for them to issue a license to you, they need to check it properly. to see that you really qualify and you've run through all the trainings that you are supposed to go through. So the STCW sets minimum international standards that every professional in the maritime industry is supposed to meet before they give them the certification or the licenses that they need to take it to practice. So by so doing, it is very important that we give quality education to our citizens in Ghana and also make them meet the standards for the international level. I'll also talk about SDG 7, which is affordable and clean energy. And this is very important in the maritime industry. It promotes energy efficient port and cleaner port equipment to cut operating costs and emission. So using energy saving equipment like electric cranes, hybrid vehicles also reduces fuel and electricity costs and also cut emission of carbon dioxide and into the atmosphere. This tries to regulate the climate change as well and also aims to achieve the goal 17, which is affordable and clean energy. Using renewable energy also tries to make the energy sector clean, which is in the sense that we normally use diesel engines, diesel fuels, and those fuels are in high content of carbon dioxide. And this carbon dioxide, when they are being released into the atmosphere, causes a change in the climate.
And hello, Prince. Hello, Prince. Hello, Prince. Hello, Prince. Hello.
Hello, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I think your network,
Hello.
we couldn't. Yeah, I think it's now okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm really sorry.
No, don't
Yeah,
worry.
so I'm on goal 7. So it talks about affordable and clean energy and allowing ships to plug into shore power supply instead of running on diesel engines whilst they are offloading their goods from the ship. This helps to regulate the carbon dioxide that are being released from the ships into the atmosphere because the fuel that they use are very rich in carbon dioxide, and it is advisable for us to use fuels that have very low carbon dioxide in them. And to reduce that, we have to use energy saving equipment, which is electric. We should shift into the using the electric source as means of supplying power to our equipment. So we have the electric cranes, we have hybrid vehicles too that we use. So for example, the trucks that loads our cargo, our containers to various places also uses this diesel engine, and these diesels are in high quantity of carbon dioxide. When being released into the atmosphere, can create all sort of trouble, and also part in the climate change as well. We should also shift to renewable energy, which in this case, many coastal areas and fishing communities can't rely on unstable or expensive diesel power. So, for example, when we had Doomsaw, a lot of coastal companies and also coastal operators were being affected, and it tells you how dangerous that was, and the food that was spoiled because of this Doomsaw. And if we had been able to shift into the renewable energy source, it means we would have controlled this condition a bit, which happened some years ago. So we can talk of this solar, wind, and small-scale hydro power, which can power our cold stores and also cold rooms as well. And the preservation companies can also rely on this renewable source of energy. And also reduces post-harvest fish losses, which can also improve food security and increase income for fishers and small businesses. This goal also enables greener shipping and ports. Shipping contributes significantly to global carbon emission, as I've earlier said. It controls the global carbon emission that is being released into the atmosphere. And also, when we use fuel with low carbon content and switching into electric or hybrid vehicles, and also the ships that uses fuel with low carbon content, it can also reduce or regulate the climate a bit. I move on to Goal 8, which talks about decent work and economic growth. In the maritime industry, creating jobs in ports, shipping and logistics, ship repairs, fisheries, and tourism. Some years ago, I think last 2 years or something like that, there were expansion of the port, and they built the MPS, which is Meridian Port Service. And that facility were able to handle vessels which are of large quantity, because some of the berthing areas that the harbor have them cannot occupy these big vessels. So they partnered with international bodies to build that MPS, which is the Meridian Port Service. So with that one, it helped to create a lot of jobs for the citizens. And if I'm not sure about it, but the number of jobs that were created was above 1,000 jobs or so. And with this one, the maritime industry needs technical and specialized skills, which is the marine engineers, the port logistics, service personnel, and also the renewable energy technicians as well, because if you are able to restore these renewable energy facilities, they are able to handle those facilities as well. And then also, we will require other security agencies as well, which is the custom service personnel and also the immigration personnel, fire service personnel as well, because we need them all in the expansion of these port services. Also, build skills through maritime education and training. I've already talked about that. And also expand local small, medium enterprises. So with so doing, other people can try and create their own jobs. Those entrepreneurs around can also create their own jobs, which they can enter into distribution, which in logistics firm and supply chain, they can enter into distribution by using their trucks to transport containers to various places when there are imports in the country. Then also we can talk of establishing restaurants around to create jobs for the people, because foreigners can come into the place and they need places to eat and a whole lot. So they will have the opportunity to establish restaurants, and also where they can also build hotels and reservation places so that they will be able to have comfort there. Then also I will talk about Goal 9. Goal 9, which is modern, efficient, which is innovation, industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Modernize ports and corridors to increase cargo capacity and efficiency. So if you are able to modernize port facilities, then we will reduce vessel waiting at a time, because most of the vessels that wants to come and berth for them to be offload will now be fast and will not have no time to wait at the pilot boarding station, because there has been a modern and efficient port in Ghana. So upgrading our terminals and storage facilities also helps to increase cargo handling as well. So our cargoes our containers that we keep in various warehouses can also be upgraded by upgrading the terminals where we keep our containers, and also have more warehouse around to keep our products that we import in Ghana. And then also digitize ports / customs processes to cut delay, cost, and leakages. We know when we digitalizes the port services, it's some way somehow controlled the rate at which corruption has been in existence in Ghana. This digitalization process helped to reduce some leakages that were happening in various sectors at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. So it helps to also improve transparency. So they were transparent, because you won't have the opportunity to go and see a boss before you can apply for your things to be cleared. There is true transparency in these processes. Then also developing logistics and industrial zone to support value addition and export. Creating warehouse and distribution centers will also help to improve the economy. And then also multimodal transport systems. This also creates jobs for the people, because when the ships brings their goods, the importers has to also get people to transport the cargoes into where they are supposed to place for them to sell it or do whatever they want to do with it. So this also creates jobs for the people, and also dry port and container depots, as I have already said. Then also I will talk about SDG 14, which is life below waters. Strengthening our fisheries management to reduce overfishing and IUU fishing. IUU fishing simply means illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing. So this means that every illegal fishing that goes on our sea needs to be attended to and needs to be addressed. By so doing, the Ghana Maritime Authority should have regulations that will help to control fishing on our seas. And the lives below water, which I'll talk about it. This simply means we have to preserve and sustainably use our oceans so that there will not be no competition with our local living organisms that we have in our sea. For example, these ships, when they comes to the port, we have some tanks that we use to stabilize the ship, which are the ballast tanks, and it needs to be filled with water so that the ship will balance. And when they are at different countries, they fill these tanks with the waters in those areas. And when they get to Ghana waters, they just has to level the ship and thereby discharging these waters into our water bodies. And these waters also contains these organisms which are not familiar with the organisms in Ghana's water. So there is a sort of competition with the Ghana waters, the organisms in Ghana waters. So these competitions this competition also tries to lower the mortality rate in the sea. Which also tries to affect the management of the fishing industry and also our coastal communities. Then also, we invest in aquaculture and cold chain to reduce losses and improve supply. Protecting our coastal ecosystem to reduce erosion and safeguard infrastructure. So what this goal tries to achieve is we must have a safe marine body that can occupy lives under water. So by so doing, if we have water pollution that we normally have plastic pollution from land, which gradually draws into our oceans, pollutes our water body, which is the sea. And all this pollutes our water body and makes it unsafe for these living organisms in the sea. So we have a job to do as a maritime Ghana Maritime Organization are trying their possible best to regulate these pollutions that we have in our sea. I'll also talk about this illegal mining, which is the galamsey. And this galamsey, we have the internal waters, and those internal waters that they are destroying for this galamsey. And gradually, these internal waters leads to the ocean. And as a maritime professional, I will say it is a great concern to us, because when these internal waters are being destroyed, it finally gets into our ocean or the sea as well. So very soon, the sea will be polluted by these activities, illegal activities that we have on our lands. And we have to take a critical look at it well and see the policies that we can put in place to regulate this illegal mining or the galamsey that we have on land. I'll continue with SDG 17, which is partnership. As I talked earlier on, the establishment of the MPS, which is the Meridian Port Services, was made possible with international partnership. They partnered with Ghana government to establish that port service that we have in Ghana today, because it solved the problem that larger vessels can't be able to occupy our harbors that we already have. So this MPS facility accommodates these bigger vessels that brings large quantity of containers into Ghana. So partnership is very important in the growth of the economy. For we cannot do it alone. We need to partner and also have to establish these facilities to help for the growth of the economy. And my problem that I have is the percentage that the partners give to us as Ghana government. They gave to Ghana government, and that percentage is very low. And looking at the number of years that we gave to them before they can hand over to us the facility is very long. And I don't know, I can't there is a saying that if you stay behind, you think what they are doing is wrong. And I won't say what they did was wrong, but they know what they did. But at least that policy or the negotiation that they went with these partners should have been looked into it properly. That is my idea. So international partnership or partnership is very important when it comes to the growth of the economy in the maritime industry. And the maritime industry is very important industry that Ghana can use to address the economical challenges that we have, especially the unemployment rate that has risen. The maritime industry can be able to address those challenges, because I know of India that they have labors that they give to other countries that have ships for them to work on those ships. And Ghana can also do the same. But our problem is the type of registry that we have adapted. Our type of registry is closed registry. The registration that I'm talking about here is when we register ships, as in new ships that comes to the country for them to register them. We have closed registry and open registry. For the closed registry, it is very tight, and the rules and regulations on them prevents other countries to come and register their ships here in Ghana. And when other countries comes and register their ships here in Ghana, we impose certain responsibilities on them, that if you are coming to register your ship here in Ghana, then it means you have to at least take every ship that you register, you have to take at least 5 workers or 5 seafarers on your ship. By so doing, some of Ghana's seafarers will get opportunity to work on those vessels, thereby reducing unemployment rate, because we have the Regional Maritime University that trains seafarers, and every maritime professional that wants to work in the maritime sector. And that university, I might say that is choked, because the students that graduate from those university, a lot of the students are at home. They can't even have access to vessels to work on. So if Ghana had adopted this open registry that will allow other countries to register their ships here, and also impose some responsibilities on them, that if you are coming to register your ship here, then it means the number of seafarers that you take, at least 1/3 or 1/4 of the number has to be Ghanaians. So we will impose these responsibilities on them. By so those who are unemployed and have been trained in the maritime industry to have jobs to do. And by so doing, the expansion of ports that we already have also creates jobs for our Ghanaian youth who are unemployed. So I will conclude by these strategies, which is more decent job, which is goal 8, gross income and expand Ghana's maritime value chain. Healthier sea, ocean and fisheries, which is goal 14, protects coastal livelihood and long-term blue economic growth. Stronger maritime education and skills improve productivity and support innovation. Partnerships help mobilize finance, technology, and implementation capacity. Improved fish supply chain support food security and nutrition, which we talked about in goal 2, which is aiming to achieve no hunger. And the last one is clean and reliable energy support, greener ports, and reduces operating costs over time. Thank you very much for having your time. I'm much grateful, Master Wisdom. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's awesome. That has been an awesome presentation, my brother. You will see that I'm even outside there. It's been a lighthouse, so Charlie, it's been a challenge, but then thank God, it's been good. Thank you very much for that awesome presentation, my brother, Prince Bar. I mean, you took us to, as an engineer, so you took us to the maritime field for us to know what actually goes on there, the challenges and the solutions that are being needed to implement as a country. That has been an awesome one. Thank you very much, bro. I really appreciate your time. You really stress on, it was very educative presentation that you gave us, and I think I have to go and listening to this presentation again, because we made mention of a lot of solutions that have been needed for a country to implement. Thank you very much. So I think we will have the last presentation, which is our brother Bruce. He's a mid-lab scientist, and bro, please, the floor is yours. Thank you. Hello, Bruce. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Okay.
Please, can you hear me?
Sure.
Okay, please give me a minute. I'll just join you.
Okay, that's fine.
Snappy. Then we go. Because a lot of us have spoken. Yes.
Sure, that will be. Thank you.
So, I would like to branch a little bit into the agric sector. As a young man, I want to speak on that. It's a passion for me very much so. I would like to speak on that. Since Dr. Vanessa and others spoke on the health sector, let me just little branch into the agric sector, if it's fine by us. So today, the Ghanaian farmer, if any of us know the Ghanaian farmer, he organized something, a town hall meeting with the Honorable Minister John Dumelo and other panelists, and they gave a very good initiative and plans for the agric sector, which other people gave their insights on what to bring on board and the plans and challenges concerning the agric sector. So my sustainable development goals, SDG, that we have to seek to end hunger, then achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture across Ghana. That is what we are seeking for. Now, we should be able to implement a lot of increased productivity amongst the small-scale farmers who form the backbone of Ghana's agricultural sector. We should be able to also eliminate malnutrition, right? We should address undernutrition and essential nutrient deficiencies across all populations, the youth, the children, pedics, the aged. We should find a suitable solution for it. Food access. How safe is food? How nutritious it is? Is it enough or sufficient for we citizens? Now, there is a continental and regional support, which is globally accepted or purposely for Africa, Ghana, and then other African nations, right? They said the Malabo Declaration, the African Union's framework, which will seek promote agricultural transformation through increased investment, reduce post-harvest losses, and improved food production across Africa. And also we have ECOWAP, that's the ECOWAS agriculture policy, which seeks to strengthen food sovereignty. We should be independent of having our own food among African nations, including Ghana as well. Now, what are the strategy for this approach? We have the Ghana Shared Growth and Development Agenda, which emphasizes food security and improved nutrition for vulnerable populations. And we should also seek for national nutrition policy. Not only we have the food in the country, but it should be nutritious for all populations, right? Now, we have the first step 1 and then first step 2. The first step 1, which seeks to set strategic sector direction, the agriculture direction, and also refine priorities and goals. That's the first step 2. What this first step 2 is the food and agriculture sector development, right? That's FSADP 1. and also the MEATSIP, or MetaSIP, which seeks to implement medium-term investment. Right. So that the key policy goals for SDG is to enhance agricultural productivity, strengthen value chains, reduce rural poverty, promote sustainable farming practices. Now, we should be able to allow small-scale farmers to get enough agricultural produce, right? Technologies, modern technologies, resources to be able to enhance food security. Now, there are some barriers to this agriculture SDG. Limited resources. There are no funds for agriculture inputs, post-harvest losses. Sometimes these farmers don't have storage for where they harvest their produce. There are no processing facilities, no significant food waste, and then economic losses due to this lack of processing facilities. Climate changes due to this galamsey, cutting down of trees, the burning of things in the country, right? Leading to unpredictable weather patterns and environmental degradation, which threaten agricultural sustainability. Now, infrastructure gaps, poor roads, limited irrigation, the inadequate market access, which hinder agricultural development. So, what is the way forward? What is the path forward for Ghana in terms of agriculture? We have to strengthen our implementation, make sure that we improve policy execution and coordination, invest in technology. I tell you, my brothers and sisters, if Ghana is going to move on well in agriculture, we have to improve our technologies in agriculture, modern technologies, tractors. And I hear there will be a farm service centers for tractors and other things to improve this small-scale farming, and also support the smallholders in terms of farmers and the rural communities. Now, to achieve this SDG 2 in Ghana, we have to strengthen policy implementation, investment in modern technologies, like I said earlier, and dedicated support for small food farmers. So with this, Ghana can overcome current challenges and achieve sustainable food security for all citizens. Yeah. So with this, I would like to end here. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, my brother Bruce. That has been a great presentation. I mean, because time has been fast spent and all that, so you couldn't really actually deliver everything that you have, but then it's been an awesome presentation. We really appreciate you, and what I'll say is that we'll be having, this is just the beginning, and we're having more of this presentation. Surely we will bring you on board to have that. You know, with the White Stars, as part of our initiative, this livelihoods and economic empowerment, which falls under agriculture, you know, trying to solve that food insecurity issues and all that. So I think that is a key point that you raised. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you very much. So Max and the team, if someone have something to add, I think we please do it, then we bring the call to an end. Hello, Max.
I would like to thank everyone for their output today. I think we've done a great job today. Although time has been fast spent, the assumption that we made for the time, I think we've far exceeded it, but I think we've done a very great job. I will say a thank you to all that were able to join and everyone that was present today. Thank you all very much.
That's nice. That's nice. Thank you very much. So just as you know, Master just shared, he's the vice president of the White Stash and the tech lead. So I think he has said it all. So thank you very much to our presenters and to all those who joined too as well. We really appreciate your time and everything. So we'll surely, if you want to get in touch with us, you know, we are links and everything is there. You can get in touch with us and we'll take it from there. Thank you all very much and have a great evening. Bye.